There we go. All right, try again. I've got this this microphone interface and it's been causing me some issues lately. And all right, so I am confident that this is working, so that's good. Let me know in the comments if it is, because then that would be really good. Let me know if it was actually working before I pulled it out as well. That'd be really handy. Okay, so today we're going to talk about rhythm and repetition. So it's more of a design principle, which is really good, because composition extends a lot more than just photography. Because composition is, we're designing the photo, aren't we? We're setting up the photo, we're structuring it, we're planning it, we're putting different elements in different positions and distances and making them all talk to each other. And from the perspective of the viewer, we're trying to attract, hold, and guide their attention. And so this is a design element, and there's lots of design elements. I'll go through the list. And this is different to Gestalt theory. Gestalt theory back in the 1920s, it's kind of a design thing as well, but that is more in your mind, how your eye and mind work together. So I'll go through a bit of a list. How about that? I've got a list here. So Gestalt theory covers, and you can tell I can easily go for another 30 days to talk about composition and design in your photography. So we have closure, common fate, figure to ground, proximity, similarity, symmetry and order, continuance, organization, simplicity, and uniform correctness. Correctedness. It's a big word, that one. All right. Now for design elements, which is what we're going to be covering today, we're going to be covering a couple of them, is emphasis, which we've already covered that. We covered that one already. Emphasis, proportion, proximity, repetition and pattern, which is one we're going to talk about today. Closure, figure to ground, common fate, and continuance. Continuance, we've covered that one as well. Common fate, did we cover that? I don't think we have. I don't think we have yet. All right. I say, okay. So yep, repetition pattern. All right. I'm going to bring this up on my screen. Repetition, pattern, movement, and rhythm. Movement is the path the viewer's eye travels across a composition. One way this is achieved and easily observed is through the alignment of you can tell I haven't had my coffee yet. is repetitive elements. The variation of size and spacing of these elements speeds up or slows down the viewer's eye, creating a pattern and rhythm in their movement, in their eye movement. When you think about it, we're getting pretty granular now, aren't we? We're getting pretty specific. I mean, that now we're talking about it's introducing pace to your photo. So it's introducing, we've talked about left to right. So left to right is where you pick up on a visual anchor, something that has emphasis, dominance, something in the left side of the screen, just in this scenario, picks up your eye, and then there's lots of negative space around it. We've talked about that one already. And I need my ding, don't I? Ding! For every new one I say. So as we're walking through, as our eye is traveling through this scene from left to right, you'll have space where there's nothing. Then you'll have something, nothing, something, something, nothing, something, nothing, something, something. And it's like tempo in music. It's like a beat. I know that sounds, but when you start playing around with your photos and start executing some of this, it's pretty amazing. I'm going to show you an example here. It's just let me bring it up. Now we are at day 20 today, so we've got another 10 days to go. So if you're going to be turning up every day, same time, so if you let your community know, let them know that, hey, Mike's going live every day talking about composition, that would be fantastic. Be brilliant. Okay, and every day when I've been going live, this has been a bit of a test for me as well, to test my gear and all that sort of thing. And yesterday I had someone give me a thumbs down. I was like, oh, what? Don't you realize how much work this is? Oh well. So give me a thumbs up. That would be fantastic. All right. So I've got a photo here. So this is kind of it. This is repetition. All right. So this is repetition because the elements are repeated. All right. That's one example. This was at a march, obviously, and This also incorporates similarity because they're all similar looking elements in there. And I like the fact that when I took this photo, I managed to capture the person's phone in front of me because it was really, I was so busy, really hard to get a clear view, and it actually worked really well. It's like a third person perspective. Ding, there's another one, another composition technique. All right, and I have another one here for repetition that I want to show you, and rhythm. Okay, get rid of that one. And bring it up. Now, I have a bit of a plan for the next 10 days, but if there's a composition technique that we haven't covered yet that you would like me to talk about, please let me know. And no doubt it's in my 4-step system, and I will bring it forward or introduce that and talk about that one. Now, I can't find this photo. There we go. Here we go. Got it. Oh, right. Okay, so here's my next one. So this one here, this is an example of that pacing that I'm talking about. Now, this works really well for panoramic photos. So panoramic works really well for this kind when we're talking about rhythm and tempo and pacing in the photo, because as you can imagine, you're going along the photo, aren't you? It's a longer transition and visual journey as you traverse from one end to the other. Whereas a square photo, or I guess it can still work with the vertical, but it definitely works with the pano. Traveling along, and you go, oh, there's a hay bale up there, bale, space, bale. You can see how it's changing. And when it's like that, what we're doing is let me just bump up my microphone a little bit. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are making it more engaging, is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the person in, looking at it, and instead of just swiping their eye through and going, oh, yep, okay, swipe, next photo, then this kind of gets them more involved, kind of interrupt. It's a pattern interrupt. That's a marketing term, a pattern interrupt. So it's like that with your photo. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so while I'm here, I'll talk about a couple of these other design elements, because I think we've pretty much covered that. It was just really brief one. Harmony and unity is I think we've talked about that one. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll talk about variety and contrast. So this is the difference between closely positioned elements, linked to emphasis and hierarchy, which we covered on day 3, I think it was. Variety and contrast. So contrast, the definition of contrast is the difference between two things. So if you have high contrast, then high contrast is two elements. The difference between them is quite great. So you could have something really large, something really small, okay? And that is a contrast. You can have a contrast in colors, okay? Color contrast. So you talk about split complementary on the color wheel, so two opposite colors on the color wheel. So that's contrast. So when you have contrast and variety, so you have elements that all kind of contrast, it can get busy, okay? Now, I know I keep talking about harmony and visual aesthetics and simplifying the photo, but sometimes that can be really good, especially when you stack it with other things, like I've talked about with this. I keep going on about stacking these compositional techniques. So when you start implementing that with negative space, where negative space is the space that one of the main elements takes up, and if you have one big element, another big element, and another big element, most of that photo will be negative space taken up by those. And then when you have variety and contrast between those three, you can see how you start stacking and making the photo more powerful. All right, okay. Just having a quick look at the chat, the connection. All right, that's all looking good. Fantastic. All right, now next I wanted to show you another photo here. Where'd it go? Okay, so when we're talking about, here we go. So when we're talking about contrast, all right, this is an example of contrast. There we go. So there's contrast. There's a contrast of something old and something new, okay? And then we have, oh, not that one. This is the color contrast. Okay, so there's the color contrast. Now, yes, you can see there, we've got before and after. So the before and after, what I've done is I've inverted the colors. And the reason why I've inverted the colors is because it's actually a little bit difficult to see in that first photo. It's actually quite difficult to see how much contrast there is. In the other one, with the spiky flowers against the foliage, that one is a little bit more clear that there's a contrast there. But when you actually invert the colors and take away what your mind kind of, because your mind can be tricked with all this sort of thing. And when you invert the colors, it breaks it down into the simplest forms. You can't, your eye can't make, and brain can't make assumptions about what color green is and what color pink is, and blending the two. But when you invert it, you take that, you remove that, those assumptions, that blind eye, mind eye, and not sure if that's a term, blind mind eye. But anyway, what you're doing is you're tricking your eye and you're tricking your brain into, okay, I know what a green looks like, I know what pink looks like, and mashing them together. But when you invert all the colors like that, then what that does is that really makes the contrast really stand out. So it breaks it down and it makes it more abstract. Alrighty, okay. All right, so what I might do is I might wrap it up there, and tomorrow we might talk about some of these Gestalt theories, because I've got quite a few there, so I might cover a couple of them tomorrow. I'll put together a schedule, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Like I said, if you're a member of a photography community, let them know that I'm doing this. I am getting better at it. So with all my tech stuff, getting through it, and one day I'll become professional at this. So, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye bye.